There are two faces of destruction. The first is loud, raw, and unapologetic, a primal eruption of rage and chaos that everyone sees coming. It's the kind of wreckage people brace for when they're under attack, a spectacle that demands attention. But the second kind? It's subtle, deliberate, and devastatingly precise. This is the art Machiavelli perfected, a silent unraveling that slips under the radar. True power doesn't roar or rage, it moves with a quiet nod, a knowing smile, and a calculated step that dismantles someone's world without a sound. If you want to truly undo someone, forget the shouting matches or public takedowns. Don't threaten or expose them. Instead, wield politeness like a blade, sharp, controlled, and impossibly effective. Let their reality fracture quietly as you refuse to give them the reaction they crave. Machiavelli knew that real vengeance isn't born from emotion. It's forged in strategy, executed by those who've already won the inner battle. It's not about proving a point. It's about proving they no longer hold sway over you. When you master this polite destruction, you don't just wound someone. You strip away their grip on your emotions. For those who thrive on control, attention, or ego, that loss cuts deeper than any outburst ever could. How do you do it? You shift the ground beneath them. Stop feeding their chaos with your reactions. Instead, reshape the environment they depend on. Some people aren't just threats. They're parasites, feeding on your anger, your need for validation, or your desire to be understood. The moment you starve them of that fuel, their power over you collapses. It starts with a calm gaze, a measured tone, and just enough distance to make them question their place in your world. There's a brutal elegance in this indifference, cloaked in courtesy. It disarms them, forces them to face a truth they dread. You've stopped caring. Your smile isn't warmth anymore. It's a signal, a deliberate marker that they've been relegated to the edges of your focus. They'll feel the shift long before you ever raise your voice. Machiavelli saw every interaction as a chessboard of power. When wielded with precision, power feels inevitable, never reckless. Polite destruction is devastating because it's clean, calculated, and cold. You don't win by proving them wrong. You win by showing they no longer matter at all. Picture the scene. Someone lobs an insult at you in front of a crowd, their words sharp, designed to provoke. They're waiting for you to snap, anger, embarrassment, or a defensive retort. They're hungry for your reaction, for the spotlight it gives them. But you disarm them with a smile, a calm, "You might have a point," slips from your lips, and then you turn away, directing your attention to someone else, someone they quietly resent, someone who now soaks up the admiration they thought was theirs. In that moment, you've pulled off a masterstroke. You've robbed them of power, elevated their rival, and kept your composure pristine. This isn't just a flex. It's psychological warfare, waged without a single shout. This is Machiavelli's brilliance at work, flipping their expectations into your advantage. They brace for a clash. You hand them agreement. They expect pushback. You offer silence. They anticipate your vengeance. You serve kindness with a cool edge of distance. While they're busy trying to crack your code, you're already ahead, quietly loosening their grip on their allies, shrinking their influence, and making them irrelevant with every calculated gesture. This is destruction, not as a brawl, but as a carefully crafted checkmate. Another move Machiavelli would nod to: play along in public, then subtly shift the tide. In the meeting, smile, back their ideas, let them feel untouchable. Then, with precision, steer the room. Ask questions that plant seeds of doubt, redirect focus, and dim their spotlight without them noticing. By the time they sense the shift, they're standing in a room full of smiles that no longer trust them. It's not chaos. It's a deliberate design, a quiet unraveling of their world. Here's the key most miss. This isn't about settling a personal score. It's about breaking a pattern. You don't dismantle someone just because they've stung you. You do it when they threaten your peace, your power, or your path forward. When that moment comes, you don't broadcast it. You pull back. You redirect. You wield politeness like a weapon, denying them the one thing they need, your emotional investment. Don't be fooled. Polite destruction isn't softness. It's discipline sharpened into a blade, grace forged into armor. This is how history's sharpest minds erased their enemies without ever striking a blow. When they expect fire and you deliver ice, you don't just throw them off, you unravel them. They start questioning every move you make. Is that smile genuine? Is that nod sincere? Do I even matter to them anymore? That's not just strategy, that's psychological mastery. And somewhere, Machiavelli is taking notes. Want revenge? Don't lash out. Don't curse or confront. Don't even hint at a fight. Instead, pull back your emotional presence. Become strategically polite, a master of measured distance. When they falter under the weight of your silence, when they flounder in the void of your absence, when they yearn for the chaos they once scoffed at, you'll know you've succeeded. You've dismantled them with devastating elegance, and they never saw the strike coming. There's an eerie stillness that trails polite destruction, not the calm of resolution, but the hush of disorientation. They stare at you, puzzled, thinking, why aren't they raging? Why aren't they pushing back? That's the brilliance of it. You've snatched away their lifeline, your emotional reaction. Without it, they're adrift, caught in a web of politeness and uncertainty. When you stop responding to their provocations, you become a mystery, an enigma they can't crack. And in that unreadability lies your power. Machiavelli taught us that true strength doesn't strut or boast. It settles over others like an unshakable force, quiet and inevitable. So when someone disrespects you, manipulates you, or tries to dominate you, don't meet them with fire. Meet them with absence, not just of your attention, but of the entire social scaffolding they lean on. Here's how it unfolds. You start by freezing them out socially, not with hostility, but with a calculated chill. You still nod hello, but it's mechanical, devoid of warmth. You speak when spoken to, but never spark the conversation. You're not icy, just neutral, and that shift hits hard. It's like stepping into a room that once felt alive, but now feels hollow. You don't attack them outright. You simply stop fueling their world with your emotional energy. They'll smile, and you'll mirror it, but your smile stops short of your eyes. That subtle disconnect unnerves them, leaving them grasping for where they stand. Ambiguity is your leverage, and it's a quiet kind of dominance. Another tactic: reflect their behavior with a polite twist. If they brush off your ideas, publicly champion theirs with a smile, but let them take the stage when the stakes are high and the spotlight unforgiving. Your support feels too smooth, too perfect, and they'll sense the trap but won't name it. Then wield empty praise like a scalpel. Compliment them generously but vaguely. That was such a bold move. Your approach is so distinct. Your confidence is something else. To the room, you're gracious. To them, it's a riddle that stings. Meanwhile, in your own work, be impeccable. Let your excellence shine quietly, untouchable and undeniable. The contrast, your faint praise against your silent superiority, eats at them because they know, deep down, you've outgrown their validation. This is Machiavellian artistry. You don't fight to claim victory. You craft a reality where your win is already sealed and they're left scrambling to understand how. The secret? Politeness is the ultimate disguise for ruthlessness. People expect kindness to carry warmth, but when it's precise, detached, and mechanical, it becomes a weapon that unsettles. They'll wonder, is this courtesy or is something brewing? And you never clarify. You just keep showing up, smiling, silent, polished, and untouchable. Dive deeper, and you'll hear Machiavelli's whisper. The one who guards their emotions commands the room. Most people betray their desperation. They overshare, act rashly, or bear their insecurities. But you hold back. You speak softly, deliberately, as if a devastating truth lingers on the tip of your tongue. Yet it never falls. That unspoken tension, that quiet suspense, is what unravels them. It's not fear you wield, but uncertainty, and that's what shatters their confidence. This is the essence of polite destruction. When they sling a cutting remark, you respond with a faint smile and a measured, "That's a bold take. I admire your conviction." Then you pivot, change the topic, or, better yet, invite them to dig deeper in front of others. Let them talk themselves into a corner, exposing their flaws while you lean back, composed and unruffled. You don't strike. You create space for their self-inflicted wounds to fester. The room feels the shift, even if no one names it. This isn't a brawl, it's precision surgery, pure Machiavelli. Now, the final move, vanish without closure. After all the calculated courtesy, the subtle maneuvers, and the graceful distancing, you deliver the killing blow, not with drama, but with absence. You don't storm off or glare coldly. You simply fade from their world. No parting words, no final gesture, just a perfectly timed exit after a season of impeccable detachment. When they realize you're no longer within reach, that you've withdrawn your emotional presence without a trace, their foundation crumbles. What they mistook for tension was their reliance on you. Without your reactions to anchor them, they're left adrift, questioning their own identity. Machiavelli knew power shouldn't shout. It should linger, felt even in your absence. Polite destruction isn't about ego or proving someone wrong. It's about crafting a reality where your adversary fades into irrelevance while you're remembered for your quiet mastery. You don't argue. You don't falter. You smile, you wait, you execute. And when they finally see it, you're already gone. At its core, polite destruction isn't about harm. It's about letting them unravel in your presence while you remain untouchable. Machiavelli would argue that true power lies in reshaping how others are seen, not just how they act. When you dismantle someone politely, you're not just curating your own image, you're warping theirs. That distortion lingers, gnawing at their confidence, eroding their influence from within. And no one can pin it on you because you never attacked. You simply let the truth surface, sharp and inevitable, while your hands stay clean. Let's elevate this further. Flip your adversary's strengths into vulnerabilities without ever confronting them head-on. This is the height of polite destruction. You harness their ego as your tool, letting them unravel by overplaying what they believe makes them strong. A devastating approach. Boost their confidence publicly, but in mismatched settings. Praise the bully for their strength during a talk on subtlety. Applaud the reckless for their daring choices right after a blunder. Highlight the arrogant for their unfiltered truth in front of those they've alienated. Each word lands like genuine support, but it's a harsh light, a lens that exposes cracks. You're not merely polite, you're dissecting with precision. What you're really doing is arming honesty like a blade. The warmer your smile, the deeper their doubt creeps in. Soon, they'll question every compliment, every pause, every glance. Their downfall won't come from your actions. It'll stem from the paranoia you've seeded about what you might do next. That's the masterstroke here. Machiavelli observed that people judge by appearances more than reality. Perception trumps deeds. So, in polite destruction, you don't dismantle their standing yourself. You guide others to see it crumble. How? Through questions. Enter Socratic undermining. Pose inquiries you already know the answers to, but in a group setting. Try. What drove that decision? I'm eager to follow your logic. Or, could you break down that idea step by step? Or, the outcome didn't match the plan. Was that by design? These aren't jabs. They're openings, prompting them to reveal their shallowness. You don't argue, you explore. Let their flaws weigh them down as you listen with quiet respect, almost approval. That's mental erosion, achieved with a few words and a steady gaze. But to seal it, don't hang around for the fallout. No gloating, no waiting for validation. Exit with elegance, even mid-exchange if it fits. Nod appreciatively, express thanks, and step away. True power doesn't need to watch the wreckage. It knows the end game. You've engineered it from the start. Let's push this further. What if your adversary senses the tide turning and tries to mend fences? What if they reach out, offering apologies to pull you back in? Embrace it. Accept their olive branch with a smile, express your thanks. But never restore the closeness you once had. Respond with delay. Never start the conversation. Become a courteous acquaintance, nothing more. This is the sharpest form of mercy. It affirms their deepest dread, forgiveness granted, but access forever revoked. It's not vengeance, it's a profound teaching moment. Machiavelli wouldn't lash out at a traitor. He'd elevate them mockingly, welcome them in the open while letting them fade in the shadows. Banishment doesn't always mean distance. It can be an emotional void, just as unforgiving. You don't raise your voice. You don't unmask them. You don't warn. You don the facade and let it erode their sanity. This transforms power into enduring influence, not fleeting retaliation, but a lasting aura. One that whispers, they don't retaliate, they retract, they don't assault, they evaporate, they stay silent, yet command attention. Now, the ultimate tenet, one that demands ironclad resolve. When the dismantling is done, hold your tongue. Let them unravel, plead, blame, or stew in quiet. But you? Advance with poise, no explanations owed. Polite destruction thrives only if the hush endures beyond the upheaval. Machiavelli grasped that real supremacy isn't in the act of reprisal, but in how sparingly you wield it. By this stage, they've internalized it. The subtle change, the void, the smile that's all surface. They can't pinpoint the break, just that your presence chills the air, your absence hollows it. This isn't mere penalty, it's exacting craft. Done right, you haven't just withdrawn, you've altered the lens through which others view them. You've redefined the power dynamic without a whisper of conflict. Now they're scrambling, isolated, second-guessing allies and themselves. It's beyond ruin, it's a mental opus. Machiavelli's insight, dominance doesn't demand volume. It sows seeds of uncertainty, letting others question their grasp on reality. Once doubt blooms, mastery ensues. The most refined way to dismantle someone? Let their fragility surface while you embody unwavering composure. They slander, you stay silent. They mock, you offer a compliment. They lash out, you thank them with serene poise. You don't meet their fire with fire, you smother it in tranquility. You become an unbreakable mirror, reflecting their chaos while remaining untouched. And here's what follows. As Machiavelli foresaw, they unravel themselves. No need to push them away, they alienate themselves. Restless, they obsess over your stillness, desperate to crack it. Their focus frays, their missteps pile up as they scramble to prove they still hold the reins. Their insecurities spill into the open and others take notice, all because you've withdrawn the one anchor they leaned on, your emotional stake. People don't grasp how much they rely on your presence until it turns neutral, not warm, not hostile, just detached. That neutrality is venom to the fragile ego, forcing them to face their deepest fear: irrelevance. They're no longer a threat, no longer a player in your world. You've stepped out of their game entirely. Now, the final act: erasure. Polite destruction doesn't climax in shame. It fades into absence. You stop acknowledging them. Their name vanishes from your conversations, their presence from your gaze. You don't revel in their collapse or dwell on their fall. You act as if they were never there. This is power's ultimate expression, obliterating someone's significance without a trace of rage. Anger would etch them into memory. Silence entombs them. When they try to drag you back, fishing for a reaction, you remain steady. A single gentle line cuts deeper than any retort. "Oh, I haven't thought about them in ages." It's not just a wound, it's a death blow to their illusions. They've been arming for a fight, but you've forgotten the war ever existed. Machiavelli would stress that polite destruction isn't about settling scores, it's about sculpting a reputation. When others see you dismantle someone with quiet grace, without a hint of chaos or raised voice, your silence becomes more daunting than others' fury. You rise to a plane where people pause before crossing you, not because you're loud, but because they know your second chances are a myth. Let's cut to the core. Most people implode while trying to tear others down. They rage, they bicker, they bear their scars in the name of fairness. But as Machiavelli's student, you never sink to their chaos. You ascend, not from pride, but from strategy. Emotions are for novices. You're crafting a legacy, not chasing petty grudges. Your strength isn't in how you strike back, it's in how little you crave retribution. You've already won, not when they fall, but when you no longer need their validation to feel your own power. What becomes of them now? They'll keep clawing to reel you back in, not always with venom, but with flattery, apologies, or even tears. It's irrelevant. You're beyond their game. You're not fighting to win. You're showing you've already left the battlefield. Your kindness is a noose, your composure a dagger, and your absence their tomb. Machiavelli's deepest insight isn't about battles or schemes. It's about seeing through those who hunger for control and knowing they'll never relinquish it gracefully. Master this, and you don't need to defend yourself. Your enemies unravel in the void you leave behind. You don't just shatter their image, you linger in their doubts, not because you're vicious, but because your kindness lulled them into believing it would last forever. Your final act? Stay silent, reveal nothing, forfeit nothing. Let the resonant hush of your absence deafen them. That is Machiavelli's destruction, polished, patient, and timeless.